Good evening. You're listening to 94.1 KPFA Berkeley, 89.3 KPFB Berkeley, 88.1 KFCF Fresno, 97.5 K248BR Santa Cruz, and online at kpfa.org. The time is 9 p.m. Stay tuned for Suspense.
Tonight, we take pleasure in bringing you Suspense, a weekly anthology of notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense.
Steuben.
Lloyd.
Another hopping night at Roosevelt Field Air Traffic Control, I see.
That surprises you?
Well, given the way you insisted I come in early, I was expecting a little more than nothing.
And you'll get it. I asked you to clock in early because I wanted you to see something.
Here, at 10:45 p.m. If it gets any more dead around here, the only thing I'll see is the inside of my eyelids.
Lloyd, how long have you been working air traffic control here at Roosevelt Field?
Only since December. I transferred from Idlewild. Why?
Because, my boy, May 3rd is a very special date here.
Special? How?
If I tried to describe it, you'd never believe me. You'll have to experience it for yourself.
Just how long am I going to have to wait?
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday.
It's starting now.
Mayday, Mayday.
Scanner picked up something.
Oh?
November, Golf.
Sounds like a distress call.
Mike, Papa,
Not on the emergency frequency, though. Way lower. 75 kilohertz down near ultra low. Let me see if I can get a clearer signal.
Known position 41 degrees latitude by 58 degrees longitude. Altitude 3,000 feet. 90 minutes fuel remaining.
November, Golf, Romeo.
Don't.
Mayday.
He won't hear you anyway.
What do you mean,
Mayday.
don't? It's a Mayday call. I've got to answer it.
Golf,
It'll all become
Romeo,
clear
Mike,
soon
Papa.
enough.
It's crystal clear now.
Please, trust me on this.
I should at least triangulate his position.
It won't work. Believe me, I've tried. But, Lloyd, we're just witnesses to this, nothing more.
What does that even mean, Steuben?
It means the only thing to do now is wait and watch. When it's over, I'll explain.
Mayday. Mayday.
It may not make sense then either, but at least you'll know.
November Golf. Romeo,
All right.
Mike, Papa.
It's your head in the news if we get in trouble for this.
We won't.
Off course in heavy fog. Last known position 41 degrees latitude by 58 degrees longitude. Altitude.
Excuse me. Miss, you can't come in here.
3,900 feet.
Miss! Shh! But
85
just
minutes fuel
watch.
remaining. Is there anyone out there? Anyone at all? Please, someone. Just talk to me.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. And you're hearing me, are you?
Yes.
Thank heaven. I was starting to feel like the last man on earth.
Well, you don't know for certain that you're not. I mean, I'm a woman.
Point taken. In any case, I'm grateful for you, miss.
Where are you calling from?
If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be sending out a Mayday signal.
Sorry, that was a foolish question.
No need to be sorry. I'm the one who got himself into this situation. To answer you, miss, I think I'm about 300 miles east of the American coast. But I can't be certain. My navigation is out, and there's heavy fog, and I'm running low on fuel.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm not out yet.
No, of course not. And you might spy land at any moment.
Precisely. But I should at least introduce myself before I touch down in front of a crowd of tens of thousands. Archie Mackay, at your service.
I'm Cecile Potter. Wait, aren't you the aviator who's flying solo from Ireland to Newfoundland?
Well, I was. Before I took a wrong turn, that is.
I read all about you in the Post today.
And you'll be reading even more about me tomorrow, I expect.
When you make your triumphant landing, you mean?
Yes. That's what I mean.
I thought as much, Mr. Mackay.
Where are you located, Miss Potter? You mentioned the Post?
I'm at Roosevelt Field on Long Island, New York, you know.
Ah, yes. It seems as if I've drifted a bit too far south. You work at the airfield? You'll forgive me for saying so, but you don't sound like an air traffic controller.
Oh no. No, I'm not. But my father is. I just came to bring him his supper. He had to step out for a moment.
Ah, answering a call to nature.
Yes.
I only ask because I could do with one of those myself right about now.
I can only imagine. Just the thought of all that water below you. Oh, I mean...
No, you're absolutely right. Purely psychological, I know. I'm flying too high to hear the waves at all. But knowing something is purely psychological doesn't make it any less powerful.
No, I suppose not. Oh, I hear my father coming back now. I put him on the microphone.
Wait! Sorry. It's just that there's nothing he can do for me that you can't. And besides, I have no doubt that you're far more charming to converse with.
Don't be so sure. I mean, you've never talked to my father. He's a smooth one, dear old Dad.
Well, perhaps he can get on the radio a bit later. I apologise, Miss Potter. I don't mean to keep you hanging like this.
But you're not. Not at all. As luck would have it, I don't have anywhere else I need to be right now. And even if there was, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than on here speaking with you. Oh, my goodness. Was that terribly brazen of me? Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
Well, if you made yourself blush, I'll never be any the wiser. And anyway, if it makes you feel a little less brazen, there's nowhere else I'd rather be either. Besides, on terra firma, I mean.
So I've already dropped to second on the list. Another 20 minutes and I'll be below the second cousin who pushed you off a swing when you were 4.
How did you know about Cousin Jeff? Are you a clairvoyant?
I must be, because I knew you were going to ask me that.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
All right. Then tell me, have you had any visions about my future?
But of course. You'll be back on dry land soon, Mr. Mackay. Very soon.
Well, if you say so, then it must be so.
And don't you forget that.
Oh, I shan't forget, Miss Potter. I shan't forget.
Would it be all right if I ask you a question?
You know, even if I was offended, it's not like I can get up and leave, right?
No, you're the very definition of a captive audience.
In that case, ask away.
I was just wondering, what made you decide to try to be the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic?
At this moment, I'd have to answer, momentary lapse of judgment.
I'm serious.
So am I.
Mr. Mackay?
All right, all right. What drove me to attempt this? What drove me to attempt this? I suppose the same reason why Amundsen trekked to the South Pole, why Whymper climbed the Matterhorn, why Magellan circumnavigated the globe. Because it was there, just waiting for someone to take up the challenge.
Really?
Well, that's the reason any red-blooded explorer would give, at any rate.
But that's not the truth, is it?
No.
Then why?
I was born and raised in Helensburgh, Dunbartonshire. I was never terribly bright. I know that must come as a shock, given my present situation. You don't have to be that quick to agree with me.
Sorry. I had a tickle in my throat.
Oh, of course. Shall I continue now?
Yes, please.
Anyway, I wasn't especially gifted athletically, or good with numbers, or business-minded, or, well, you get the idea. But flying was the one thing at which I excelled. I was an ace in the Great War, then left the Royal Flying Corps to work as a test pilot for de Havilland. Dangerous occupation, unsatisfying in its way. But I needed something more.
Something more?
A legacy of some sort to leave behind after my days are at an end, to remind people that once upon a time a man named Archie Mackay existed.
But there are all sorts of ways to leave a legacy behind. Why, even children can be a legacy.
Only I never got married. Never had any children.
But you're not that old. You still have time.
I think we both know better.
Now we'll have no more of that sort of talk, Mr. Mackay.
I wish I could share your optimism, Miss Potter, but the fuel gauge isn't cooperating.
How much fuel do you have left?
Oh, about 70 minutes worth, more or less. Less, definitely less. I'll have to speak with the engineers at de Havilland about the accuracy of their fuel gauges. Shocking.
When the engine starts to miss like that, how much longer do you have?
Not long. If I power down to near stall speed, I can milk a few more minutes out of it.
Are you going to cut altitude too?
Yes. I'll start working my way down, close to the deck. Better to be there when I...
When you drift right down onto the tarmac here at Roosevelt Field, just as your prop turns its last.
Something like that, yes.
And then you climb out of your plane to greet a crowd that has suddenly appeared, just to catch a glimpse of that courageous pioneer, Archie Mackay.
Good heavens! I knew I should have prepared a speech.
Not to worry, Mr. Mackay. I'll have one written for you in no time.
Splendid. It's probably for the best anyway. Most of the time I can't even read my own scribbles.
I can't read my own either. But there's a typewriter down in the airport office.
Well, it sounds as if we're all set. Now all that's left to do is for me to stick that landing and taxi up to my adoring throng of well-wishers.
Oh, I should see if I can get a bottle of champagne for the occasion.
Champagne? I thought you Americans had enacted prohibition.
We did, but, for a special occasion.
I haven't even touched down in the United States yet, and I'm already a potential criminal.
Well, you might be anyway. Did you remember to bring your passport?
You know, I hadn't thought of it. Was expecting to land in Newfoundland, after all. And Canada is a member of the Commonwealth. Unlike you treasonous Yanks.
Treasonous Yanks, are we? Oh, you're really in trouble now, Mr. Mackay.
Yes. I am indeed, Miss Potter.
Sorry, I didn't mean anything by it.
No need to apologise. I know you didn't mean anything by it. It's just that you speak the truth, even when you're making a joke.
Mr. Mackay?
Miss Potter, I do appreciate you staying on here with me. More than you know. Having heard a kind, vibrant voice broadcasting across the black ocean these last few minutes, it reminds me that I'm not all alone in the world, even if it feels like I am. But I should go now.
No. Archie, please don't go.
Miss Potter, Cecile, when my fuel runs out, what you hear, it won't be pleasant. And I can't promise I'll meet my end with good grace.
I don't care about that.
But I do. Cecile, if you remember me at all, I want you to remember me. like this.
Of course I'll remember you. But don't go. Not yet. Please.
All right. I'll stay on a little bit longer. But when the engines start to cut out, I sign off. Agreed?
Agreed.
So, Cecile, what do you do when you're not conversing on the radio with strange Scottish aviators?
How can you joke at a time like this?
Well, there'll never be a better time for it than right now.
I know, but it's not fair.
It's as fair as anything in life. I made this flight knowing the dangers involved. If it was peril-free, everyone would do it, yes?
That's not what I mean.
What do you mean then?
It's just that it took you getting lost over the Atlantic for us to find each other.
Oh, the lengths a fellow will go to so he can find the right girl.
Oh, Archie.
Cecile, if I have any regrets, all right, of the myriad regrets I have, not getting the opportunity to know you is foremost among them. See, you made it to the top of the list. It's time.
All right.
Goodbye, Cecile.
No, I won't say goodbye, because I'm not giving up hope. I won't give up on you, Archie. I'll never give up.
What in the world just happened?
Are you still mad that I called you in early?
No. Of course not. But I still... You swear this wasn't a gag?
Scout's honor.
Then I don't... She did say, try to be the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic, didn't she?
She did.
But Lucky Lindy set that record back in May 1927.
And what do you think that means?
If I told you what I think that means, you'd be calling the fellas in the white coats.
Don't count on it, or else I'd have to call a couple for myself, too. Seriously, just say what you're thinking.
Can you promise me this isn't some trick? You know, Raz, the new guy?
I'd swear on a stack of Bibles if we had them.
All right. Don't say I didn't warn you. De Havilland Hound. That was a biplane, wasn't it? A long-range bomber built in the late 20s.
Yes.
The way she talked about the transatlantic flight record, it's as if it hadn't been broken. It's as if...
As if what?
As if the radio signal was coming from 1927.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? Are you agreeing with me?
I am.
How long has this been going on?
Well, I've been here 17 years, and it was happening before then. Since 1927, in fact.
Since 1927? That's 23 years. But how?
I don't know. No one does.
It's fantastical. Completely beyond belief. It goes the same way every year.
Every year, in every detail. Like it was happening for the first time.
But, wait a second. 23 years, and that woman, Cecile Potter, she can't be a day over 30.
It would seem that way, wouldn't it?
So she was 7 years old when this began?
No, she was just as you saw her this evening.
but that's...
Impossible? You sure you want to choose that word?
Steuben, I feel like there's something you're not telling me.
There is. Archie Mackay was indeed a Scottish aviator who made a transatlantic solo flight attempt a few weeks before Charles Lindbergh. His plane, a modified de Havilland DH-65 Hound bomber, went down off the coast and was never recovered.
And what we heard was his final broadcast?
And it comes through on the tower radio every year on the anniversary of his failed attempt.
All right. I mean, that explains the radio signal, but what about the woman? If she's been coming here to reenact that tragic night every year...
She has been.
Then how is it possible she hasn't aged at all in 23 years? You said it yourself. She looks the same now as she did in 1927.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
It's because ghosts don't age.
What did you say?
Cecile Potter died of pneumonia in 1930.
But we saw her.
She said that she would never give up on Archie, and not even the grave could stop her from keeping her word. So ends And the Sky Has Taken Him by John C. Alzadek and Dana Perry Hayes. Tonight's story of Suspense. Suspense was produced by Blue Hours Productions and recorded at Melrose Music in Hollywood, California. Tonight's radio drama was written especially for Suspense by John C. Alzadek and Dana Perry Hayes. Christina Nichols was Cecile Potter. Russell Webb was Archie Mackay. Daamen Krall was Steuben, and Dan Flood was Lloyd. I'm your host, Daamen Krall. Next week at this time, tune in again for another study in Suspense.
My husband Blake and I spend our time solving cases with the most unusual bent. But it's no mystery, macabre or otherwise, as to why people love Ashton crackers. Ashton crackers are made from only the finest white flour, shortening, yeast, and baking soda, then lightly sprinkled with sea salt and baked to perfection for that signature Ashton crunch. Right, Blake?
Quite.
Ashton crackers. A snack even a millionaire can appreciate.
Nomi Prince, former Wall Street executive, current investigative journalist, has just brought out a new book, Collusion: How Central Bankers Rigged the World. She has that rare combination of deep knowledge and brilliant writing. Her new work throws unflinching light on the power players and dark conspiracies of international finance. Nomi Prince will speak on Sunday evening, May 6th, 7:30 at St. John's Presbyterian Church, 2727 College Avenue in Berkeley. There's wheelchair access at this KPFA benefit. Vilma V. will host. Get tickets at independent bookstores or online at brownpapertickets.com for Nomi Prince, May 6th.